Game Plan. We have with us Cricketwallah to discuss a very interesting cricket match that happened yesterday at the Brabourne Stadium.
Were you there, Zinia?
No, I really wish, but I heard your commentary, Ayaz.
I was there.
I could hear your commentary, but I think it was drowned out by like a throng of 20,000 people screaming Dhoni, Dhoni.
You're being conservative there. I think by a few thousand. Maybe about 25,000 people were there. That's what the CCI guys thought. I spoke to them a little later after the match, and they thought maybe about 26,000 people were there. But irrespective of the figure, I think it was a fabulous, the atmosphere was fabulous. And it surprised me. I thought that there would be a lot of people. Remember, the entry was free. But for so many to turn up was something that caught me also by surprise. I think it's the seductive appeal of Mahendra Singh Dhoni as a cricketer and as a personality. I believe that in the history of modern India, he's a folk hero. It's not just for his cricketing prowess, obviously because of his cricketing prowess, but everything that he stood for, and especially in non-metro India, he's kind of his achievements. Whatever he's done, the way he's come about, he's made a life for himself, has resonated brilliantly. And not that this match was being played in Ranchi, this was in Mumbai. So his footprint now is across the country. And he's an iconic figure. I think there is a strong kind of attachment to the achievements that he's got to his credit, and it's a monumental body of work. If you look at it from a sheer statistical point of view, there's no parallel as a captain. But it's just beyond statistics, his kind of, Mahendra Singh Dhoni story. And so it was all there. A lot of, hordes and hordes of youngsters.
Absolutely. In fact, I remember pitch invader coming in, just to touch Dhoni's feet during the match.
That's not the best thing to do in the middle of a match. I wouldn't advocate
absolutely
that.
Absolutely not. But but it goes on to show the kind of reverence he got. Remember, this is not his last game.
It's not his last game. That's the interesting part.
Right.
So he's not retiring from the game. He's going to play as a member of the T20 as well as the ODI team. This is the last time he was there as a captain, which is what I meant. I think that there is a great sense of kind of, it's a glue that Dhoni has got. And very few players have that. Sachin Tendulkar had that, people would just come, they were enamored by his persona.
A little more than a person, you'd feel.
Yeah, I mean, so Dhoni has that, he has that kind of appeal and that charisma.
But talking about the match, I think the highlight for me would be that one Chris Wokes over, 23 runs where Dhoni clobbers him, gives all the people who've come to watch him something to remember.
A lot of people thought that he's finished as a finisher, and then
is he ever though?
No, I think, look, sometimes we think in terms of either taglines or stereotypes, and therefore cricket is not played like that, or any sport for that matter. It's a very dynamic situation. How Dhoni plays in a match will be very different perhaps from the way he plays in another match or the third match or the fourth match. But when you look at the whole picture, then you can perhaps say he was the greatest finisher that India has had so far. And whether his prowess, I think his power may have come down a bit, but not his prowess, because as we all age physically, the power will come down. It's bound to happen. It's not reduced his speed between wickets, it's not reduced his cricketing brain, obviously, and it's not reduced his prowess, as we saw, because he's a terrific improviser, which all of it was in evidence yesterday. In fact, it reminded me of a line from his movie, which I saw very recently actually for the first time. One line which goes, "Arey, chalo chalo, mahi maar raha hai." So that
I asked you, and all of Twitter was saying that yesterday. But yeah, it was definitely one of those power hitting spells with 68 runs. And that one over, which took India A rather over 300. Although India A didn't go on to win the match, lots of positives for India. I think Shikhar Dhawan, who's also coming back from injury.
Key players came good. You see, the key players came good from the batting, certainly. There's Shikhar Dhawan, who got a half century, little patchy to start with, but then played really well. Yuvraj Singh, I thought, was very, very good. In fact, I would say
answered a lot of questions.
Answered a lot of questions, and I think for himself, this was not a rag and bobtail England team. This is their full-fledged, barring Ben Stokes and Joe Root, who were not there. But again, look, they won the match. So it's a very good England one-day side that they've got. And remember, England have been on a surge over the last 15, 18, ever since the 2015 World Cup. They've revisited their mindset and their strategy, their players, and they've come up with a combination which is looking extremely good. So India, beware. There is a warning, there is a statement made by Sam Billings and the rest of the players for Virat Kohli and the Indian players to kind of consider, don't take us for granted. We may have lost 4-0 in this test series. It's not going to be so easy here. But Yuvraj Singh came out, I thought, very fluently. He's got the gift of timing, right. And once he gets that timing, it's not all about power. Obviously, he's got a lot of power, at his command. But just sheer power without timing can lead you to mistakes. Yesterday's innings was, I think, fabulous for the sheer timing, and the way he approached his knock or this match was obviously he's got a boost by being selected in the Indian team. Maybe he'll get a second wind. He also is in the same kind of situation as a Dhoni in terms of they belong to the same age group. So he knows he doesn't have 10 years to play, and he has to make the most of what he has.
And this one interesting thing which I noticed is that as the crowd was screaming, Yuvraj came in at number 4. Now this number 4 has been a bit of an always a conundrum with Dhoni. It's one of the positions he prefers. But if Yuvraj were to make it to the playing 11, I think that is going to be the batting order more or less.
That we have to ask Virat Kohli.
Right.
How Virat Kohli sees his game plan, because he's the captain now. Whether it's Dhoni at 4 or 5 or 6 or UV at 4, 5 or 6. I think again it'll be it'll be fluid, it'll be dynamic rather than fixed. Maybe initially to start with, but depending on the match situation, if suppose early wickets fall, then you might need Dhoni to play the pivot. Right. If you've got a lot of runs already on the board and not many overs remaining, maybe he'll get UV to go ahead because you need some big hits. So I think it'll be I don't think there is a fixed formula. I think, and the good thing is when you've got batsmen like say Yuvraj, Dhoni and maybe a Rahane in the ODIs, then you've got a lot of options. You've got Rahul and Rohit at the top if Rohit comes back, but there's Shikhar Dhawan, there's Virat himself. There's a lot of batting that India has got.
Right, so that is one positive. And while that's also a conundrum for the new captain, as you very rightly pointed out. But one of the positives in the bowling, which admittedly didn't have a lot of positives yesterday, was Hardik Pandya. Another player coming back from injury with a good economy rate over his 9 overs.
Yes, I thought he was the pick of the fast bowlers from both sides. But obviously Kuldeep Yadav was the guy who shone for the India A team, 5 wickets, and he's got a bit of Brad Hogg in him. Right. Because he bowls that Chinaman, very deceptive, not easy to bowl, that back of the hand stuff, but he did extremely well. Didn't have too much support. I think a bit of an off day for Ashish Nehra, but the pitch was also, it didn't help the English fast bowlers either. So, but Hardik Pandya, I think clever variations in pace. He's got a mean bouncer, and therefore I think he's another guy who would have been, if Kohli was watching the match wherever, or at least if he watches the video clips, he'll be happy with Hardik Pandya because that's one strong option for him in the team.
And he opened the bowling, so that gives Kohli more options. So more or less, what you needed from this practice game you got. You have these players coming to form. Raidu and Kuldeep Yadav, although they performed really well, were in the A side. So
look at it. Raidu, till about a year and a half back, he was a regular member of the team. He's made 100 and he doesn't find a place in either T20 or ODIs. That's how strong even the benches, Kuldeep Yadav doesn't feature. So I think Indian cricket is there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of talent, and yet, this is sport. So
and England has sounded the warning with Billings, Butler, Roy, all of them.
Butler, Roy, Alex Hales, Dawson, and
Morgan to an extent.
Morgan and Stokes and Root not playing. So this is a very formidable limited overs team.
So we're definitely going to have a more competitive limited over series than what we had in the longer format. But while all this was the on-field action, I think there was a bit of an off-field scene happening which we all enjoyed. Yuvraj Singh posted a video on Instagram after the match with Dhoni. And for whoever's followed Indian cricket, there are so many questions about the two of them.
They jammed it,
but this video, absolutely, they showed that. Yeah, we must watch it. Let's have the video. Yeah. Of course.
Journey.
The journey has been good, fantastic. It's good to have players like you. The job becomes much more easier. And enjoyed my 10 years. Hopefully I'll enjoy more whatever I have.
Well, you've been one of the best captains ever. Would like to tell you that, and it's been amazing playing under you, winning 3 big championships, World Cup, and being the #1 test team under you. And
thanks to you, I witnessed the 6 success at the best seat.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to go and slog as always. And what I want to ask you?
Don't ask me anything.
भूल गया यार मैं पूछने जा रहा now. Oh yeah, now since you're not the captain, are you gonna hit more sixes now? Are you
Let's
gonna
see
be more fearless?
if they bowl in my areas, the right areas, and the situation permits, I'll look to hit six.
Quite the mutual admiration club there.
Yeah. Answers a few questions about their interpersonal relationship. There's been so much talk about, oh, one was against the other, or one didn't like. I mean, all this nonsense. Look, I think and they played a lot of cricket, right from the Coach Bihar stage, maybe 18, 19 years.
That's also shown in the film, right?
It's shown in the film, yes. So, when you grow up together, there will be times when you have differences of opinion. That's, if it didn't happen, that would be very strange. So, I think that at the end of the day, it's about how you coexist in the team and produce results. I think ultimately in sport, we're talking about sport here. So, I think, and neither of these two guys is actually prefers to be talking too much. They would rather let their bat do the talking. That's even obvious from while they jammed together, they were short of words. But what is interesting, do you notice something interesting about this video?
Yes, if you're on the same page, it's probably because Yuvraj's question, will you hit more sixes now?
No, that apart. So that's interesting. He says if the ball is in the right place, I'll hit it. But, now I'm saying from Dhoni, if you look at Dhoni, he probably is the only guy in the Indian team today without a beard.
Oh, well, I think Dhoni and his hairstyles have been well documented over there.
All of them otherwise. They've got there's seems to be some kind of,
Virat Kohli is a trendsetter there, I believe.
Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, now they've got beards and ponytails and everything. Dhoni is the only guy who doesn't have a beard. And earlier, when nobody had a beard, he used to be the only guy with a thick stubble.
Absolutely. During the Champions Trophy, I think Jadeja, Dhawan and Dhoni sported these
And you can't say that Dhoni has not been a style icon. Remember, he used to have long locks.
I doubt anybody can disagree with that.
So we'll have to wait and see if Dhoni grows his beard or not. But actually, I think Virat would prefer runs from his bat rather than
a beard. And I think we'll keep the beard. But which reminds me, Ashwin is another guy you could watch out for. No beard.
No, Ashwin has a
bit of a...
Yeah, he's got a stubble now. He doesn't have a beard, but he's got a stubble. Even Shikhar Dhawan has got a beard. Rohit Sharma had a beard last when we saw him. So, Jadeja is
photo should be very interesting when it comes before the first match on Sunday, I think.
All of them. If I'm just trying to remember if Umesh Yadav had a beard, even he had.
Yes, he had.
Mohammad Shami has got a flowing beard now. So it's pretty much, the only guys who don't have beards now in the Indian team are Anil Kumble and Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
The old guard is happening there perhaps. I think on that note, with such wonderful camaraderie between Yuvraj and Dhoni, it should be interesting to see once the international ODI series starts.
Correct. Azina, I mean, the fun and games apart, I think the challenge now is, these are mighty boots to fulfill for Virat Kohli. Right. His record, Dhoni's record in ODI and T20 cricket is fantastic, and the titles he's won. The other aspect of his, cricketing persona and as a captain is something that Virat will also want to kind of give attention to, which is that when Dhoni became captain, there was a host of seniors in the team, in the dressing room. There was Sachin, there was Rahul Dravid, there was Saurav Ganguly, there was VVS Lakshman, Virendra Sehwag, Zahir Khan, Yuvraj, who was a senior in the team, Harbhajan Singh, all of them. And he had to carry all of them along, and they were all accomplished. They were bigger stars than him till 2007 T20 World Cup happened. And then they were all gone. So he handled that period of transition, got all these guys who are now currently in the Indian team, barring Jayant Yadav and maybe Karun Nair, are all his pick, including Virat Kohli. So he's been through a period when he was flush with talent, then he was flush with a lot of juniors, he's seen through their transition, and he leaves behind a team which is looking formidable. Now Virat Kohli has to, the seniors in the team are Yuvraj, there's Dhoni of course, the rest are his contemporaries. How to get the best out of the senior pros, how to manage your contemporaries, and then as there will be a transition phase even for Virat Kohli, I would assume, if he plays long enough as a captain, and why not? So then how does he effect that transition? I'm not saying he should do it now or start thinking about it today, but that is something that, a lesson learned from Dhoni.
But exactly, I think that would be very interesting to know that Kohli would have learned from Dhoni. He's been under Dhoni long enough to see the process.
Absolutely.
So maybe that he can take those learnings and even outshine, maybe eclipse Dhoni. Maybe not in terms of trophies, but perhaps.
Why not? I mean, look,
that's
every
it.
generation tries to get better and ahead of the previous one or the preceding one. I don't think there is, any record or anything is there for eternity or should be there for eternity. So
Exciting times for Indian cricket,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And exciting time for us as cricket fans. And of course, to discuss this very exciting test series, Virat Kohli is first. We will have Cricketwallah with us. But
and
for now,
we'll keep tracking Dhoni's progress
with the bat or the beard?
and the beard. We'll
or
see.
both.
We'll see.